To get ready to use Classroom in your classroom, you first need to install it on your computer. You do that by opening up the App Store application. Once you have your App Store running, you want to just search for Classroom. When you perform the search, you're going to get these results, and they'll be the first one here with the orange background. Go ahead and hit Get and click Install. This is going to prompt you to put in your password for your Apple ID. So once you get that put in and click Sign In, it's going to start to install the application. This may take a few minutes. Once Classroom has installed, you can click Open to begin running the application. Agree to the disclaimers and click Get Started. This is going to get you setting up Classroom for yourself. So you can edit right here to put a picture if you want, and you might just want to put in your name. Okay. Once you're there, it gives you the option to create your first class. So you can just put in whatever you want your names to be. Pick a different icon and potentially a different color for each of your different classrooms. So they're going to kind of populate across the screen like this. Once you get Classroom set up, there's not a whole lot that you can do until you get students into your classroom. So that's going to be the next step that we talk about. For students to be able to join your class, they also need to have Classroom downloaded on their computer. For students to be able to do this, they do need to be updated to the most recent operating system of Mojave, and they will also need to go to the App Store and download Classroom like we previously saw in the video. Once they've downloaded Classroom, within a few minutes, they're going to have the Classroom application open up in the bottom left-hand corner of their system preferences. Again, this takes a few minutes. If you go to system preferences right after installing Classroom, you're not going to see it there. You just have to give it a little bit of time. Once students have Classroom on their system preferences, they can click it, and it's going to launch their student view. So from here, it shows any classes that they have joined. It gives them an opportunity to put in their student information where they can enter a name and edit a picture. And there's also a Permissions tab. Underneath the Permissions tab, there's going to be different menus that they can select to be associated with their account. So the first one is Join Classes. We want students to select automatically, meaning they will automatically join classes that their computer remembers when they go to that classroom. So when they enter your class, they're going to automatically populate into your classroom system. Lock Mac, we want them to default to always. That gives you as the teacher the ability to lock their Mac as needed. And then under AirPlay and View Screen, we also want that one to be always. So essentially, they are giving away all their permissions for you as the teacher to use Classroom however you see fit. And that is our expectation for students to be able to set it up that way. I'm going to toggle back to the Classes tab, and now we'll look at how you as the teacher provide them the code to join. So as the teacher, once I have students who have Classroom downloaded and ready to join a class, I'm going to enter the class that I want them to join and click Add Students. This is going to bring up a code on my screen that students will enter in order to join the class. So what the student sees on their screen is this. It has identified that they're nearby a class that they are able to join, and so they can click that class and choose the Add Class button, and that's going to prompt them to put in that code. So the code was 2692, and they can choose Add Class. That has then associated them with that class, and that will then move into their classes menu and remember them whenever they are nearby to join the class. On the teacher screen, what you see is the student who is wanting to join, and you can check that, yes, I want that student, and click Add. And that's going to finalize the adding process and make it so it's no longer pending for the student. Okay, now that we have a student in the class, let's take a look at the different options that you have within Classroom available to you. So the screen you're seeing right now, you can toggle between all, where if there was more than one student, you would see all of your students listed here on this screen. And with each student, you're getting a quick glance at the different applications that they have open. So right now it's telling you that Megan has Google Chrome plus 6 other applications open. And if you're familiar with the different application symbols, you can even right there get a glimpse at what some of those are. Then if you had more than just the one student here, you would also see across the top here the individual accounts for each of the students populating. So you can go into one student individually and view them there. And a little bit more on that in a second. Okay, going back to the all screen, you can toggle here between a student's view and screens view. Okay, and so if you choose screens, you are getting a live picture of your students' screens and what they're currently doing. And yes, you can see videos playing like live while it's going on. So I just have YouTube pulled up here. We had a little PJ Masks action on YouTube recently in my house. So that's just what's going on here. But I'm going to start playing it, and you can kind of get an idea of that show on your screen. So you should have seen that kind of in here. So students can't really sneak any movie watching by you with that screen view or anything else that they shouldn't be doing. Toggling back to students, let's look at some of these other options. The first one here is going to allow you to open up an app and push it out to all of your students. So if you want them in a particular application, maybe you want them all in Google Chrome for something, or you want to push them all into iMovie to do a little iMovie tutorial, you can click on that app, choose open, and that's going to immediately push it out to all of your student computers. So kind of less time waiting for students to get where you need them to be. Okay. The next one also kind of involves pushing out information, and this is if you've downloaded PDFs, perhaps, like an article, something you want your students to read and put them in your books, or bookmark them on Safari. You can click on either of those options. Like if you had something in books, you could click on it and push it out to students, or Safari link and push that out to students. And it just talks to Safari as the web browser because that's Apple's web browser. So that's why Safari is the one that's in there. Okay, so that's another way to kind of use this to get students where you want them to be. All right, the next one is a lock screens option. When you click this, it tells you that you have locked your students' screens, and when it locks their screens, it actually takes them to their lock screens. They're going to have to log in again, but they cannot utilize their computers when you do this. They are basically shut down. So use as needed. If you're needing to capture everyone's attention, this is definitely a way to do that. But just know you will then have to wait for your students to log back in to be able to jump back into class when you're done locking. Okay, the next one is a mute option. So you can mute students' computers as well to turn off any sound that potentially is going on. The other options over here on the right, the first one's an AirPlay option, and really we need Apple TVs to make that one work. Since that isn't an option in the district at this time, that's not really going to be a function usable to you in classroom at this point. And then if you need to add new students to the class, you can just click this button, and that code or new code will pop up and students can join the class as well from there. The final one is for creating groups within your classroom if you want to manage computers and students by groups and potentially like push out different information to students that way. So that's just a quick run through of the different features. I know you guys will learn those pretty quickly and hopefully find the best ways to utilize them to your advantage in the classroom.